because poor old person in Hong Kong is watching.
And they're having a tough time too.
And I'm so unhappy that he or she can't get the missing recording, but there's nothing I can do about it. Now we're on the air, or whatever, on the web recording. We're doing chapter 21. Bruce is going to start, and we're ready to go. See how all the devils.
Oh man, they're bad.
It's
better and better.
You look uninspired.
Constat autem etiam angelos abeo plerumque visos, ita ut concerto apud eam in vicem sermone loquerentur. Diabolum vero, ita conspicabilem et subjectam oculis habebat, ut sive se in propria substantia contineret, sive in diversas figuras spiritales nequitiae transtulisset, qualibet abeo sub imagine videretur. It's well known, moreover, that even angels were often seen by him being Martin here. To the point that, to the extent that when discussion had been taken up among them, they spoke with him, or at least before him. I don't know exactly what to do with apud there.
Mm-hmm. I think they spoke in his presence.
Yeah. But, Vero, he had the devil so visible and exposed to his eyes that whether, now we're going to do one of our classic subject changes for no reason, that whether the devil was keeping himself in his own substance, in his own matter, or whether he had transformed himself into different shapes of spiritual wickedness, he was seen by him, that is, by Martin, in any form whatsoever, in whatever imago, right? However he appeared. He didn't just have to look like, I take it this means that he doesn't have to be a little red guy with a tail and horns.
Right.
Martin got who the devil was, no matter what he looked like.
Right. Yep. It's tricky, that intrusion of ab eo, right?
These three sentences are plain nasty.
Right. It's qualibet imagine.
Yeah.
Videretur ab eo, and which is perfectly straightforward if you get it in the right order, right?
Yeah.
But tricky if you don't.
Yep.
And can we go back to the very beginning, just for posterity's sake, translate plerumque, ab eo plerumque visos. It's clear that angels, were seen by him
often, right?
Many times.
A lot of times.
A lot of times. Just it happened a lot.
Yeah.
And also, I just wanted to ask about the apud eum. I took it as a concerto sermone apud eum, a conversation having been taken up in his cell, where he was with Martin. They spoke, as opposed to taking it only they spoke with him, because that would really be cum eo.
Yeah, I took it as they'd begun the conversation in vicem among themselves.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
And then they had it in his presence.
With him. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. I like that. Yeah. Great.
Section 2. Quod cum diabolus sciret se effugere non posse, con viciis eum frequenter ergo ebat, quia fallere non posset insidiis. When the devil knew that he was unable to escape this quote, meaning the fact that Martin could suss out the devil no matter what form he was taking. He frequently burdened him, oppressed him with abuse because he could not deceive him with trickery.
Good.
Yeah.
Quodam autem tempore cornu bovis cruentem in manu tenens, cum ingenti fremitu cellulam eius irrupit. Cruentam quae ostentems dexteram, ed admisso recens scalere gaudens. Ubi est, inquit, Martine, virtus tua, unum de tuis modo interfeci.
Ooh.
So, moreover, at a certain time, holding the bloody horn of a cow or an ox, more likely to be a cow in Western France, isn't it? I don't know.
Because
I think it's oxen. It's oxen that pull carts, that pull things mostly.
But Bose is also just cow.
yeah,
Oh, you're thinking of further on. Yeah,
right, 'cause it's gonna
probably
turn out
is
to be
oxen
a
for that reason, right?
grand animal.
Yep. Okay.
And an ox is only called that because it pulls. An ox is not male or female or castrated or not. It's just its
Right.
own function.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So holding the bloody horn of an ox in his hand, with a great roaring, forced himself into his, that is Martin's, little cell, and showing his gory right hand.
And the subject of all of this is the devil, right?
Now, yeah, the devil is the subject here. So, right, the quote, right. And showing his bloody right hand and rejoicing in the crime recently committed, the devil said, "Oh, Martin, where is your power? I just now killed one of yours. If we want to be punny about it, I guess we could make it one of your flock, given what happens."
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Good.
This is bad. Okay, so sentence 3.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Tunc ille convocatis fratribus, refert quid diabolus indicasset. Then that one, meaning Martin, the brothers having been called together, he relates what the devil had revealed. Solicitos ire praecipit per cellulas singulorum, quisnam hoc casu affectus fuisset. He instructs them to, or instructs, I couldn't figure out whether solicitos in the notes wants it as an adverb, or whether it's just he instructs the anxious ones to go.
Yeah, I think that would work nicely too, because they're probably a little rattled by this thing.
Yeah. I think the note is just telling us that basic fact that we often need to translate adjectives as adverbs. You know, I don't think he's saying anything that you don't know about the grammar.
Right.
And also, what's that thing called where a participle is used when really it hasn't happened yet? So he's instructing them to search carefully, but in Latin it says the careful ones, the anxious ones. Is that histron? It's one of those. It's one of those.
Proleptic epithet?
Yeah, something like that.
Ooh, one for William.
I don't know if that's right. I
think that's what I mean. Yeah,
it's a possibility. So
or you could say that just he instructed the anxious ones. He instructed the concerned ones to go.
Right. That's what I would say. I mean, if you're translating literally, and that's why I think Francesi is just saying that the normal English way to put that would be to go careful.
It's different. That's a different meaning if they're already anxious, or if you're instructing them to go careful.
But that's what I think he means. And
Yeah.
I don't know if he's right. He's not obviously wrong.
Because how careful do you have to be in a monk cell? I mean, what is there to see? There's like nothing. There's like nothing.
It means you look everywhere for a dead body.
Yeah.
For a dead body.
Right.
No. In all seriousness,
Mhm.
one of the interesting things we see throughout this text is that there are evil spirits everywhere.
That's true. So
You
they
know,
maybe
so
they-
so I think he does want everyone to go out on their guard.
I see.
Yeah. And also maybe not just the dead body, but clues. Maybe some ashes or some sign, more blood or something that the devil has been there.
Yes, excellent.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, in fact, Francesi's right. He wants them to go carefully. It's not. He wants the disturbed people to go.
Right. Which is why I was saying that it's that thing where
Right.
that figure.
he tells them to go carefully through the little cells,
Mhm.
individuals
Thank you for saving us, Mona.
who had been or understood, I guess, to find out or
Yeah.
to learn who had been afflicted
Mhm.
with this fate.
Mhm.
Kasu is more like a bad thing, right?
An
Like,
accident.
Fate, but a disaster or a
Disaster,
Misfortune.
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 There you go. Better word. So, neminem quidem de esse de monarchis, sed unum rusticum, mercede conductum, ut vehiculo ligna deferet, isse ad silvam nuntiant. That they, and you have to go all the way to the end, I think the nuntiant, they, meaning the brothers, report that indeed no one from the monks was missing, but a peasant, rusticum, having been hired for pay so that he would carry away wood with a cart, had gone to the wood, or to the woods, I guess, you made it plural.
Yeah, and this is why Joanna says we should think oxen, and she's completely right.
Mm-hmm.
I love this quidem. William, you had such a good way of saying the quidem. It's like men and de. On the one hand, quidem, well, it is true that nobody was missing from the monks, but there's this other guy missing.
Right. The plot
What-
thickens.
What did you say that we could use to translate that? You had a really good idea last time.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Is he carrying? I mean, I know that it looks like he's carrying away wood in his cart, but I would have thought the sense was more that he was bringing wood to the monastery.
I think it's de feret ex silva.
Carrying it away from the wood.
Yeah, he's gone to the wood to bring wood.
Okay.
Forced to bring.
Okay. Yeah. Good. And conductum mercede. This is, I mean, literally rented for pay.
Hired.
For hire.
Is that? I'm not familiar. Is this a standard expression? I just thought it was kind of weird to say rented for pay means hire.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could leave out mercede and understand that. I mean, conductum would mean rented or hired,
Yeah.
but the mercede just makes it that much clearer.
As a salaried employee, I like the idea that I've been rented for pay.
Right. Not just for hire. So let's see. He's this peasant has gone to the woods. Jubet egitur alikos ire e obriam. So therefore he, Martin, meaning Martin, orders some of the monks to go meet him, the peasant. Ita haud longe a monasterio, jam paene ex animis invenetur.
Oh.
Oh no, that you knew this was going to happen. Thus he was found, he being the peasant, he was found almost lifeless. By then, I take it, Yam, not far from the monastery.
Yeah. Sulpicius, please don't give us too much help about what the subject of the sentence is, okay?
Right.
because we don't use
We don't usually know
a
these.
challenge.
So let's see. Nevertheless, oh no, I didn't translate that yet. Extremum tamen spiritum trahens indicat fratibus causam mortis et vulneris. Nevertheless, he's not quite dead yet. Drawing his last breath, he reveals to the brothers the cause of his death and of his wound.
Yes.
Now comes the juicy part. Iunctis scilicat bubus dum dissoluta artius lora constringit, bovum sibi excuso capite, inter inguina cornu adegisse. Apparently, or evidently, his oxen, having been yoked together or joined together, or while after he had yoked them together, while he bound the loose straps, Arcturus, more tightly, an ox, having shaken its head, it's weird, its head having been shaken, but an ox shook its head. After an ox had shaken its head, it had driven a horn between his groins, literally. Into his private parts.
Between the groin with reference to him, right?
Right.
Said he was dead.
Native of reference.
Native of disadvantage.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's really good. That is good.
So constringit is, do we take this as historical present?
It's a present and a dum clause. It's normal to use a present tense in a dum clause when the main verb is in past tense. You don't usually use an imperfect. So like if you said something like, while we were going to the town, the ox fell over, you would say or imus, not ibamus.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
I have no recollection of ever knowing that in my whole life.
That's great. Isn't it? I know. Isn't this great?
It's really.
If you ever knew it, then I certainly didn't remember it. So
I never. I'm with William. I never knew it.
So
Keep
this
going.
now okay. He's had his unfortunate accident.
So he was pulling tighter
Right on the reins,
the loosened reins or whatever they were bound with.
and then the ox.
And the ox tried to shake his head. He didn't like the pulling. Yeah.
as they are wont to do. So just nec multopos vitam redidit, and not much later he gave up his life. He died. Videris quo judicio domini diabolo dati fuerit haec potestas. Literally, you will have considered. It's a future perfect, but it means something like you will have decided. You will have seen.
Yeah, I think C works fine, doesn't it?
Yeah, you will
You will
have
have
seen.
seen. By
We might just say use C. We might just use the present there or the imperative.
I did look this up in the OLD after the reference, and that seems to be not uncommon classically. Is basically, and we often translate the future perfect in the present in English anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it's yours to see.
So you
can see.
can see by which judgment of the Lord this power has been given to the devil. A sort of perfect subjunctive passive. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the last sentence, in Martino illud mirabile erat, quod non solum hoc quod supra retulimus, sed multa istius modi, si quotiens accidissent, longe antea praevidebat, aut sibi nuntiata fratibus indicabat. With Martin, or in Martin, as pertains to Martin maybe.
Yeah, nice.
That event was remarkable because not only this incident, which we or I have described above.
Mm-hmm.
But many istios of that kind or of that sort, whenever they had happened, he was used to foresee long before, or he used to reveal to the brothers things having been announced to him. Things, I guess, having been revealed maybe would be better.
Right.
I think maybe most idiomatically the beginning there is, this was the marvelous thing about Martin.
Mm-hmm. Something like that, as pertains.
But I don't understand I don't understand the sentence. I mean, I understand the sentence. I don't understand the thought.
The marvelous thing was that he was able to predict these things, like he just did with the death of the peasant. He saw the devil with the bleeding horn.
Or that there were
They
more,
actually found the dead
there were
peasant.
not just that one incident, but that there were so many other incidents.
Yeah, if he saw the devil with the bleeding horn and got it, why did he send the brothers to look through all the cells first?
He just knew, he had seen a vision. The fact that he saw this vision, it's like that thing before where he didn't know what it was when he saw that crowd from afar, remember, in the field?
Right. Right, I'm tripping up on the same exact thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's not that he had all-knowing power, but that the Lord was sending him, or he was able to see the devil where others would never even have known anything had happened.
Right. Nobody else knew that anybody was missing, but he got this vision.
Okay, good.
Not everybody look for him.
Thank you.
I do think there's a certain, you almost, maybe this is too glib, that Sulpicius is kind of trying to cope with the fact that this is kind of anticlimactic. Compared to saving these people, compared to breathing life into these.
Right, lying down on people. Yeah.
Simply sensing there's something wrong and saying, as it were, Charlie's missing, isn't nearly as miraculous. And so he's kind of, but also Sulpicius can say is he had this feeling about devil interventions, and that was another cool thing about him, but it's not nearly as cool as some of the other things we've been seeing.
I kind of tripped over that, the quo judicio domini diabolo data furit haec potestas. He doesn't really explain that. Mm-hmm. Like, what are we supposed to see there? He made the peasant die just so Martin could see a vision beforehand? Like he let the devil do this? Why? It doesn't really tie it up in a neat knot for me.
Doesn't it?
It's almost as if if we're thinking about this as something, as possibly an evangelical document, but also something to shore up people who are fairly recently converted to this weird new religion. Mm-hmm. You want to say that Martin had this weird power having to do with the devil that came from the Lord?
Well, no, but the Lord gave the power to the devil.
Right, but isn't the point that you can see the limits on the devil's power? In other words, you can see what sort of power the Lord gives to the devil, because it's compromised by Martin's ability to spot devilry all over the place.
I think we need to be cautious about seeing this as too theologically clean. It's a very early story where you have these sort of superhero saints who are going around fighting the devil actively. And in a lot of ways, it's cryptomanichean before Mani shows up. And that's part of the reason why that becomes a conflict later on, just as, you will see in a lot of these earlier writings, discussions that eventually devolve into Arianism. It's not really very clean cut at this point in time what the devil's power is. Which is one
and
of
of
the
course
reasons why
evil does happen. So in this story, he has to somehow.
It's very true, and this is a world full of evil spirits, good spirits and evil spirits.
It's a Greco-Roman world is loaded with evil spirits. They're like gremlins. They're responsible for everything.
That's what I think is so fantastically interesting about this text, is you get this really interesting, late antique saint, but you get this portrait of the kind of rough and tumble spiritual and social and economic world of provincial Rome in late antiquity. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's a real mix of different belief systems, and it's not cut and dried at all. It's going to be a very different mix.
Right. No, there are lots of things where we have not yet declared exactly what orthodoxy is. That's right.
But going back to Joanna's question about that sentence, I puzzled over that too, because I think on the face of it, out of context, it could mean something like, you see what an amazing amount of power the Lord has given to the devil, right? And so that seems kind of puzzling.
Yeah.
But I think, but I think it's in context. It means you see how much he's been given, namely not that much, because Martin's all over him.
And maybe that it was only a peasant and not one of the monks.
Well, maybe that too. But
I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
And I think also that Martin's all over him.
Right.
But Martin is a special person.
Right. But still, but the point is that that sentence that Joanna raised, which I think could mean so many different things, I think means, at least this is my theory, is that it means you see the limits to the power that the Lord has given to Satan.
So you read it as somewhat ironic.
Yeah.
The crux is really the words quo judicio.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly does that mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Why was the Lord thinking this?
Yeah, what was the Lord thinking?
Well, because it helps it's part of Martin's power that he knows.
Yeah, so
this guy.
So like I said at the beginning, I came up with, wow, the Lord gave the devil the power to kill a peasant just so Martin could have a feeling or see a vision.
Or maybe to show the limits of Martin's power, because Martin is very powerful, but that power comes from God. And when God doesn't give Martin the power, Martin is not he's not God himself.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there that could be going on there, that we're showing the limits of Martin's power as well as the devil's power.
Yeah, God is doling out power to different actors.
And this is why I think Joanna's reference back to that kind of freeze tag thing is exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very complicated and somewhat ambiguous.
And limited.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sulpicius could be making an argument here for monotheism within the context of the Trinity, that the devil appears to be equally powerful against God and God's agents, but actually isn't, because God's the one who gave him the power in the first place. Right. I mean, basically, it's a theodicy of evil thing. In this world is full of demons and spirits. You have to explain why God would allow this in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
which you're never going to convince me of, but that's just me.
I don't know, a few more saints' lives, Bruce, maybe you'll get there.
Oh, my goodness, I have read so many saints' lives over the last 35 years, it would split your head.
Come on, they're fun.
They are fun.
They're a total blast.
All right, class, who wants to go? Joanna, do you want to go forward?
I can, but I actually signed up. I always sign up at the last minute. I signed up for section 23.
Oh, okay. Well, Paula, you're starting at 22.4, is that right?
Yeah.
So you want me to shoot here?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Now I did this quickly.
Uh-huh.
So results may be comical. Frequenter autem diabolus, dum mille nocendi artibus sanctum virum conabatur illudere. Visibilem se ei formis divertissimis ingerebat. Nam interdum in Ioves personam, plerumque Mercuri, saepe etiam se Veneris ac Minervae transfiguratum vultibus oferebat. Adversus quem semper interitus signus e crucis et orationis auxilio protegebat. Moreover, often the devil, while he was trying to, let's go a little idiomatic, trying to make the holy man his plaything with 1,000 tricks of harming, literally to deceive him, but I like all these words are ludo, he's really just kind of messing with him.
To ridicule.
Yeah, exactly. Pressed himself, his visible self, this is the devil, his visible self, was pressing his visible self on him, Martin, in different forms, appearances.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably the best way to say that would be something, I think what we would say was making himself visible.
Making himself visible.
Yeah.
I mean, literally was bringing himself visible to him, but I think that's...
Yeah, or even hurling his visible self.
I think it's not visibilem se as much as it's visibilem formis diversissimis se ingerebat. You know what I'm saying? The se is starting the construction.
Yeah, that's why I said pressed himself in visible form on him in different manifestations.
Yeah, and he's visibilem in formis diversissimis.
Right.
Yeah. This is so weird. This next part, he's suddenly going back to the classical era.
It's actually not that weird for the 4th century.
Yeah, I mean, they were saying...
I have seen this before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen this before where basically demons are reinterpreted as the classical gods.
It makes all kinds of sense.
There's a really weird text, a Canto Virgiliana, or is that Virgilianus? Anyway, it's half lines made out of Virgil, which is put together by a female author in the early 4th century, which is kind of a summary of Christian history. Proba, exactly. It's Proba, and she makes the classical gods and goddesses into demons.
Oh, well, that makes sense because they were the adverse. I mean, they were what they were trying to combat, I guess.
No,
Yeah.
Milton does too.
That's standard Christian invective against pagans. So polemic pagan is that their gods, the pagan gods, are demons.
Mm-hmm.
You see this especially in things that are obviously meant to be evangelical. There's also a long sermon of the 5th century, I think, Spanish bishop Martin of Braga, who does almost exactly the same thing.
The Reformation era, you get a lot of ancient deities who were basically demonized, like in Shakespeare with Hecate. And Milton is very fond of taking just about every obscure Greco-Roman deity you can find and putting them in hell with Lucifer. So, I mean, Lucifer himself is originally a minor Roman deity, so that starts pretty early.
I thought Lucifer was in the Bible and he was just called that.
In the Vulgate, it's translated, there are 2 Babylonian kings are translated to the name Lucifer in the Old Testament, and then the New Testament in the Revelation, Christ is referred to as Lucifer. But originally, Lucifer was the morning star, basically.
Oh, right. But I thought that was just grafted in on the Hebrew.
Yeah, what about Jewish tradition? I was just going to ask that.
Yeah.
Isn't Lucifer in the Hebrew tradition?
The reference to Lucifer, the conflation of Lucifer as the devil, is post-biblical.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
In Satan and Job doesn't bear a whole lot of resemblance to what he becomes later on. But yeah, it's the whole Lucifer thing of Lucifer as the devil is really post-biblical. In the New Testament, Lucifer is a name for Christ, for Christ's revelation or whatever, the super
The
angel.
light bringer, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Onward.
For occasionally, he
Say offerebat.
he presented himself
Mhm.
in the person of Jove,
Mhm.
often of Mercury, and often even transfigured into the. I don't think this is with respect to his appearance. I think just with the faces
Mhm.
of Venus and Minerva. And I don't think this is just. I mean, I think he really means he appears as a an alluring woman.
Mhm.
Well, persona, if you go back to that, it's
Mask.
a mask. It's
Yeah, right.
what an actor would wear. So he's
Yeah.
making his appearance that
Mhm.
of the different gods.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I
And
think Mercury is the most. Isn't there a kind of hierarchy? Sometimes he was Jupiter. Mostly he was Mercury, and often even Venus and Minerva. Right. So that the second, the third, and fourth things are obviously the most surprising, being girls and everything. Hey, how are you?
So
And here we have the subject changed again.
yes, so we have Martin as the subject now, and Martin, against whom, meaning I think the devil.
Yeah.
Martin, unafraid, often protected himself with the sign of the cross and the aid of prayer.
Yeah, always. Sempre.
Always,
Mhm.
indeed.
and he's made a nice little word picture, which Sulpicius really likes doing. He's put signo se crucis, so he's put se in the middle of signo and crucis. So he's
Oh, nice.
That is nice, but right, yeah. I mean, but did I get it right that it is say protegibat?
yeah. But
Yeah, but you're right. The way the word
obviously
form.
Sulpicius has
And
the-
the say is being protected by the signo crucis.
Yeah, great.
he's literally
Nice, Jen.
It's really kind of interesting. This is really a metaphor almost, because Martin was originally a pagan, and it's almost as if he's being tormented by his birth religion.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, this is like a literal. His birth religion has now the gods of his birth religion have become the demons of his new religion,
Yeah, good
He's
point.
and he's
by his
fighting
past.
reconverting. What?
Haunted by his past.
Yeah, he's fighting going back. He's fighting
Yeah.
becoming an apostate.
And as we see a little further down, I know it was tonight or tomorrow, there's more of that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they eventually turn hostile, but I mean, initially they probably are trying. This is meant to be a seduction initially, rather than an actual attack.
Adiebantur plerumque convicia, quibus illum turba daemenorum proteruis vocibus increpabat, sed omnia falsa et vana cognoscens non movebur objectis. Often their abuses or their outcries were heard, meaning that of these personae, right? With which the crowd of demons, assaulted him
Mhm.
Mhm.
with their insolent remarks.
Mhm.
But knowing that these were all false and empty, he was not moved. He was not affected by the things by the crap they flung at him, by his taunts, right?
Mhm.
I like the crap they flung at him. Objectis.
Besties.
Do I do one more?
Yeah. Go for it.
Testabantur etiam aliquiec fratribus audice se daimonem protervis martyrum vocibus increpantem, cur intra monasterium aliquosec fratribus, qui olim baptismum diversis erroribus perdidissent, conversus postea recepisset, it's right here, exponentem crimina singulorum. Some of the brothers even bore witness that they had heard Martin
I think daimonem is the
that they had heard that they
Had heard say as they.
demon-
Yeah.
a demon upgrading Martin with their insolent voices.
Mm-hmm.
Because now down to Reykjavik, he had received in his monastery some brothers who once upon a time had lost their baptism through various wanderings. In other words, these are the people who've been baptized and then relapsed.
Right.
I wonder if the olim is with the baptismum who had lost their once upon a time baptism.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
even earlier. I mean, I guess it could be either, but
Yeah, no, I think that's probably better. He had received them afterwards when they returned, when they turned back. But they were hearing the devil describing the crimes, the sins of each one of those. That is, the ones who had returned to their error.
Good. Yeah, this is interesting, isn't it? It's much more theological and moral and more complicated, right?
I don't think you can take Olin with baptismum. Because it's a noun. I don't think you can do that.
well, no, not directly, but you're saying you're just taking olim perdidissent who had once upon a time lost, but now they were converted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
Right.
contrast to postea,
Mhm.
who formerly had lost
Mhm.
and now, like, later had come back.
Okay.
yeah, and it's not olim really so much as it's like it's formerly not, once upon a time or a long time ago. It's like the olim and the postea. First they did this, then they did that. It's not necessarily an extended amount of time.
Yeah, so you're saying the olim really goes with the postea, and so it would be the fact that they had lost and then converted and been. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That makes more sense.
I
That
do think
makes
you have
sense.
to translate it formerly in English.
Okay.
And it's contrasting with postea.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that they bring up the diabolo is pretty straightforward. That's evil. It's devil. But that in this sentence, then we get daimonem, which is, at least in this period, more neutral in some ways, and it's kind of like he's demonizing the word daimon. Whereas right now it's kind of iffy, and it's dividing out into good demons, which become angels, and bad demons, which become demons. And I think it's kind of interesting that he chooses to use that word at that point.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. We're definitely transitional here about what a daimon is. It's not, because I mean it's sort of a pagan guardian angel, right?
Yeah. Well, they can be dead heroes, or they can be minor deities like naiads or dryads, or they can be what we would now call straight up demons. But of course,
Right, and here
in
it's
our current
really-
theology, they're fallen angels or demons. So
here either it's the devil himself or it's one of the devil's henchmen, right?
yes,
That's what Paula is
Minion.
saying. She's saying he's
Right.
using the demon word, which could be neutral, here directly as clearly devil.
Whereas
And
he's been using Diabolo, and all of a sudden it's
Yeah.
Daimonem.
I wonder if he's using daimone, having just referred to Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, and Diana.
That's entirely possible.
I thought it was because he's talking now about what the brothers were hearing. So they're saying, listen to that behind that door. Someone's saying this.
Yeah.
Instead of saying the devil, they just say it's a devil-like object. So
Yeah.
human, right? Somebody like that.
And that actually is exactly the setup in Athanasius' Life of St. Anthony, which is really the first saint's life. People hear stuff going on this cave, which sounds like animal noises and so on and so forth, but it is demons.
Well, it could be that that's his way of, Sulpicius obviously doesn't do this stuff randomly, and this could be his way of, what they're hearing could be ambiguous. It just could be an ordinary daimon, but it's really the devil, guys. You should watch out for the devil. Those daimons, you have to watch out for them because they are really diabolos.
Yeah,
Diabolos.
this proterus, which is repeated.
You realize all of this excitement is going to disappear in the next 3 words when it turns out the Diabolus after all.
I just want to say something about that core, and I love the way the core is ambivalent between why and because it really kind of is, and it happens again later.
Yeah, it's an awkward. It's not a meaning you learn.
No, and I think here probably the demon really was saying, "Hey, why did you repeat those back?" Like, he might have used those words.
Right.
I think I looked it up
because that's what he had done.
William, I looked this up in the OLD, and I think Tacitus does it this way.
Yeah, it's not something that you're very aware of when you're, learning on that basic level.
No, absolutely not. No, it's why. Absolutely.
But it's so cool to see where the Venn diagram is, where it can be either.
Well, the Christians certainly did not invent the process of making demons lesser creatures out of your rival or enemies' gods. They did not invent that, and the Romans were front and center in that just as much as Judaism.
Well, this is exciting. So,
Paula,
onward with the 22-4, Paula.
Okay, well, I gotta say, I don't know. I was wrestling with this, and I'm sure I've made a hot mess of it. So let's forge on.
The simple fact that you said "hot mess" means we all forgive you for whatever mistakes might possibly come.
Well, there are probably going to be plenty. So let's see. Martinum diabolo repugnantem respondisse constanter. They say that Martin responded constantly resisting the demon, or resisted by the demon.
Yeah.
Kind of hard.
No, you were right the first time. It's fighting against.
Yeah, it's Ray.
Fighting against the demon. Okay, I get it. Yeah, I was wondering what the data was in there.
Yes.
And constanter doesn't mean constantly. It means bravely.
Strongly.
yeah, strongly.
Steadfastly.
With
Firmly.
constancy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and Martinum is the object of respondissa?
It's you did it right. They say that.
Right. Subject of the indirect statement.
You did
Okay.
exactly right.
Okay, got it.
Because we're still talking about the fratribus, the fratres, what they said.
I mean,
And so
this
very end of the sentence,
this is testabantur, right?
yes, and at the end of the sentence, there's a fertur, so it's not clear where that main verb switches over, but the whole thing is an indirect discourse.
Okay, I know we've been over this before, but can we go to this respondissa? They say that respond. why is it translated like that? I mean, it looks like an infinitive.
It is an infinitive.
Indirect
It is because
Like
we're
a
in
passive
the-
infinitive.
No.
No. It's a
Perfect active.
it's a pluperfect.
Perfect.
infinitive.
Pluperfect.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a perfect active.
Perfect
Oh,
infinitive.
perfect. Sorry.
A
Perfect.
regular perfect
Right.
infinitive.
Okay.
It's
Right.
in secondary sequence
Right.
after the verb testabantur.
Right.
So it actually technically should be translated as a pluperfect in English.
Right.
I don't think we ever would say it that way in English, but that is what it should be. It should be. So you're still saying they provided evidence that, or they were testifying that.
Right. It's okay. It is issa, not era. Yep. Okay.
But technically it should be that Martin had responded. And so it's an accusative subject of an infinitive after a verb of mental activity, a verb of the head. Testor is to, speaking verb.
Okay.
And in Latin, you can just continue your indirect discourse for your Cicero, like a page, or some of the historians go on for literally pages.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is what's
That's
confusing you the form? It's a syncopated form of respondivisse,
Mhm.
No, it's not.
No,
isn't it?
no, it's just a perfect infinitive.
Right.
No, because what's the third principal part?
Respondi.
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 It's
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because I gotta say, sometimes this punctuation confuses me
no,
more
it's
than
so-
it helps.
I agree. This is
There should be a long mark if it was that form. If it was a perfect with
Right.
it.
Respondivisse?
It's just the perfect infinitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the normal perfect infinitive. It's one of the few verbs that really has an identical stem
Right.
in present and perfect. Luckily, it's second conjugation, so there aren't really any ambiguous forms, but it is, I guess respondere if it was a third person plural perfect with the alternate ending.
Oh,
But,
right.
So this is going back to testabantur is the actual
main verb.
verb from number 3.
Yep.
Okay.
Unless you want to look
okay.
ahead and take factor. German does this too. You can just start a paragraph in indirect discourse,
Mm-hmm.
and that signals that you're gonna at some point get someone who said or thought or whatever this, and you just hold that fact in your head until you reach the end of the paragraph.
until you get to the other side of the Atlantic. Is
Yeah,
Taste
it's
in your
just,
mouth.
I've run into this fairly often in 5th and 6th century Latin, and I'm kind of like, well, it's obviously intended to be active in some sense, but it's an infinitive.
It's
And it's
indirect
passive
discourse.
infinitive,
It's
too.
that-
it's an
that somebody
active
said this.
infinitive.
What?
It's an
active.
active infinitive.
Yeah.
You could have a passive infinitive.
Well, yes, that too.
Every once in a while, back in I've seen it in school texts from the 1880s, 1890s through about 1920. People used to italicize these in some of the student texts so that you could see them easily, which I think was really helpful.
Yeah.
Really helpful.
Herberg in the Lingua Latina puts them in quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, I gotta
it's
say,
really hard for English speakers who aren't paying attention
Yeah.
and are like, wait, why is that? And have forgotten because we don't do this.
Because 6 pages ago, that whole sentence started.
Well, mostly I've encountered them in manuscripts. And when you encounter them in manuscripts with no punctuation, you're kind of going, okay, what is this? Because it's not at all clear that there's an active verb way back there. You have, now I know that I have to go back and find an active verb.
The best part is when you have indirect statements that are dependent on the idea of the general clause and there isn't actually a verb of the head, and it's just terrific that you have to be like, why is this an indirect statement?
Because it's obvious. Duh.
Well, I kind of find myself thinking, is there a missing sum or est here? Or, yeah.
Nope.
No, because if it's active, then yeah.
Well, keep going because you get some more practice.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Antiqua delicta melioris vitae conversatione purgari. Ugh. Okay. I'm not sure.
This is an indirect statement within the indirect statement, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
So because
Oh, yeah.
they said that Martin was responding or had responded that
That.
the ancient crimes purgari were being
Okay.
purged
Would be purged
by
by
the,
the better life of the better monastic life.
well, the
By the conversazione.
conversion of the better life. We would say conversion to the better life.
To the better
Oh,
life,
conversion. Okay.
Of the
Okay,
better
I
life.
see that. That's what conversazione is.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
It can be conversion. It can be literal exchange. It's also probably as early as this the word that's used to mean monastic way of life.
Oh yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, well, obviously they don't. He's not repeating himself here because that doesn't make sense.
No,
Yeah, conversion
no.
makes sense though.
If he'd done this, if this text were a century later, it would simply read Meliori Conversazione.
Okay. So you simply take out the vitae.
Yeah, because it would be understood as way of religious life or way
Right.
of monastic life.
Yeah, it seems like there's one word too many in here.
Mhm.
Okay. So the conversion to, but it's Melioris vitae is genitive.
Genitive,
Of the
right?
better life.
That's an
Okay.
objective.
Okay. So that's one answer.
Objective
Part of the
genitive?
answer
Okay.
is that they've gotten better because of their conversion. And then there's more indirect statement, right?
Right. Et per misericordiam Domini absolvendos esse peccatis.
Qui.
Okay. And through the mercy of God, those ought to have been, qui peccare desierent, because that's kind of necessary.
Yeah, it's necessary. Good.
Those ought to be absolved of their sins who had ceased to sin.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, I had a question. Why is it absolvendos? It's obviously those.
They should be absolved. They ought to be absolved because they have reconverted. They can
Isn't it a
be.
gerundive, though?
Yes.
Yes.
They ought to be forgiven their sins.
So
But in English,
And maybe we ought to understand that they ought to be forgiven our sins.
I think in English it's absolutely crucial that you have to read the qui clause before the absolvendos clause. That through the
No,
mercy
I
of
get-
God.
I get the parallelism. I'm just confused as to why it's a gerundive makes it ought.
okay, it's the passive periphrastic, right? So in
Yeah.
indirect statement, it would be "Ei absolvendi sunt," right? Like
Like Carthago
delenda est, right? Carthago must be destroyed.
Right. So those.
So those
Okay.
sinners,
Yeah. All right.
Must be.
absolvendi sunt, those sinners must be absolved.
Okay.
Peccatis of there, and then you put that into the accusative and the infinitive because it's an indirect statement, and you have
And you've got absolvendos.
esse peccatis.
Okay.
It's all perfectly simple, really.
So it's a Carthage must be destroyed kind of construction.
It's
Yep.
totally
It's that.
that, but an indirect statement.
Indirect
And that's
dis-
exactly why.
So it's accusative
Okay.
and infinitive rather than
Yeah.
nominatives and
Right.
Yeah.
So just
I mean-
hold, if you just hold that Carthago delenda est in your head, you can
at all times.
You can at all times. You can build all that. You model every.
Who is that dude, Cato?
Cato the Elder.
Yes.
Yeah.
We owe him a lot because, that's the way to explain it again and
Totally is.
again and again and again. No matter how repellent
Mhm.
a sentiment it is, it's a brilliant teaching.
Not
tool.
that repellent.
I think even the ancient grammarians.
What?
did-
We gotta wipe Carthage off the map.
Yeah. Human sacrifice.
Well, it's
You've been
That's
a
a
Roman
long
historian
story.
too long.
And if you want, the grammar help, it actually, he didn't say it in the nominative, he didn't say it in direct speech like that. It was
He did say-
penseo.
Right.
Cartagenum
And-
Right, you did say
Oh,
it.
really?
And the essay, he did.
Yes,
He did.
true.
Nice.
All right. Well done, Paula. Onward.
okay. Contra dicente diabolo. And that's speaking against the demon.
Other way around.
No, it's an ablative absolute.
Yes. And contra is an adverb. So, in other words, diabolo decente contra, with the devil speaking contrary.
In opposition.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
okay.
And then you've got another indirect statement of what the devil was saying.
Uh-huh.
Non pertinere nera ad veniam criminosos.
Mm-hmm.
That guilty men had not extended to mercy,
Had no.
or had not
Nothing
extended
to
mercy
do.
to guilty men.
They didn't connect to mercy. They don't connect to mercy. They don't
pertain
pertain
to
to
mercy.
mercy.
They
Yeah.
don't have anything to do with mercy.
Right. Exactly. Guilty men are just not connected to mercy. That's what the devil said.
Oh, so you're saying that these men, Martin should give over these
Right.
apostates.
He should
Yeah.
not. Right.
Reformed
Exactly.
apostate.
He should
Yeah.
not have taken them back in and offered them wanium.
Mhm.
Okay, I get it. Wow, if he'd been that strict with Augustine, we wouldn't have had the confessions, now would we?
Don't get me started.
Right? We would have all been spared.
Whew.
Or we could all have been Pelagians. Which
Well, no, but anyway,
Which I am anyway. So.
Augustine delayed his baptism, right? So
I'm not a huge fan of Augustine as a person.
Right,
I
never
gotta be
mind.
honest. He's brilliant, but et semel lapsis nullam a domino praestari posse clementiam.
mhm.
Okay. And at the same time,
Not simul, semel, with
No,
not
semel.
one time.
Well-
and one time,
So leave that until you translate lapsis.
what?
Leave that until you've done lapsis because they go together.
Okay, and to those who had fallen from God at the same time?
Once.
One time.
What?
No,
not
one time.
single semel.
Who have
Sorry.
fallen
Time.
one
You've
time.
fallen away from God once.
No, but it's not away from God with the lapses.
Yeah, to like those
What?
who had lapsis absolute had made one mistake.
And then the ad domino is
They're
something
lapsed.
different. It doesn't go with that.
Because it goes, then it's nullum ad domino praestari posse clementiam.
Right.
Okay. To those who had fallen from God once,
Nullum clementiam.
there could be at hand mercy for no one?
No mercy.
No mercy.
No
Ad
mercy,
domino.
okay.
Ad domino.
From God.
From
Yeah.
From
See,
God, okay.
The devil is saying no. They fall once, they're done.
If all once, they're mine.
And praestari, praesto means to offer, show, present, and it's the passive infinitive.
passive.
So that
Mhm.
no clemency could be
Could be offered, right?
Could be offered. And then that's why ad domino is with the passive, the agent. It's the of agent.
Ablative agent, right?
Yeah.
Good. And now, Paula, just to add more to your difficulties, all of that is indirect statement piled onto the ablative absolute.
Yeah,
And so that whole thing is an ablative absolute. So when
I wondered about that.
the devil said this and when he said that, tunk, then it's, and now we're back to,
Another indirect statement.
right.
Oh, now you don't have indirect statement. You have
Well,
So are you saying that the
No.
ablative absolute is the devil's favorite construction?
no.
no, they're wonderful.
That would make all Latin teachers the devil's
Pass.
playthings, right?
Pass.
Come on, I couldn't resist.
I no wonder.
So then, fertur, Martinus fertur exclamasse.
Okay. Tunc in hanc vocem fertur exclamasse Martinus. Martinus.
And there's your long mark because it's exclama visse.
Mm-hmm.
Thence, now they say in these words, but you can just say in this voice.
I think he's saying I'm reporting this literally
Mm-hmm.
The statement.
Okay,
in this statement.
Utterance.
Yeah.
Utterance.
Exactly like
Martin was quoted as saying,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Martin was reported to have cried out.
Yes.
And that's why it's honk wokem. It's that the following kind of honk.
Right.
It's one of those like pointing out that this is going to be a
Not ill. No, it's not. It's hic, not ille.
That's
The,
why.
the accusative is odd, though. Wouldn't you expect the ablative? Speak.
Or the exclamase into.
In.
This voice just
Comes
seems
to
to be
this voice.
slightly weird, but
Mm.
but I'll deal with it.
No, but I think that's what. No, I think that's what you usually say when it's something about a quote.
Okay.
I think the accusative is the normal construction.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Hello, Kitty.
See, this is Niles. Niles had an operation last Friday. He's doing well though. He had a hernia.
Aww.
Yeah, umbilical hernia. Sometimes they're born with one.
Mm.
Yeah, and fortunately, I said, well, we should get this taken care of just in case, and it turned out to be a lot bigger than we expected. So, definitely not borrowing trouble, and probably much cheaper in the long run.
But no health insurance policies for pets. That's the trouble.
There are now.
There
but-
are?
Yeah, but they're kind of like dental policies where basically you are saving up, you're putting aside savings to pay for some disaster in the future.
Yeah,
But yes, they are starting to bring in pet health insurance. Yeah. But yeah,
Onward.
fortunately all mine are, except for Freebie, are young right now. So.
C to ipse.
All right. Si tu ipse miserabilis ab hominum insectatione desisteres et te factorum tuorum vel hoc tempora. Sorry. Okay, if you yourself, miserable one, is it miserable one or miserable ones?
You wretch. One.
You
No, it's
wretch.
singular. You're right.
Miserabilis.
Okay, yeah, it's because it's nominative, right? I remember.
Vocative.
Just forgot that. Okay, would desist from what?
Vocative singular.
Yeah, would desist from hostile pursuit of men,
Mhm.
and of your deeds yourself,
Take it with
or
pinateret.
what?
Go down to pinateret for your verb.
Planetaret.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Remember that pinnature
Guarantee.
is reflexive.
Oh, I guarantee you,
So
or guaranteed you.
you feel sorry for. So maybe
Regret.
Repent.
Regret.
Oh, regret.
It
Okay.
regrets you. It repents you.
so it
Okay.
means if you feel sorry for.
Okay.
Remember,
it's-
it's the impersonal verb, so pinatet, always in
Mhm.
third person singular. And then you have an accusative of the person who feels bad,
Mhm.
Mhm.
accusative of the thing you feel bad for.
Mhm.
So, like, me pinatet huyas, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry I did that.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
these are subjunctives because they're potential subjunctives, right?
Yep.
Yeah, if
Right.
it's if
Okay.
desisteres and if te piniteret.
Yep.
Okay. So, and repent of your things,
Your
Deeds.
deeds.
of your deeds, well, or in this time,
Even if it's
Even
even
Even.
in this time.
even
Okay.
so late as now.
Well is kind of unusual use of well.
Right.
But we've seen this before as
Martin does Severus does this.
When the day, oh, sorry. Oh, I haven't said that yet. Cum dies judicii. Yeah, judicii in proximo est. When the day of judgment is at hand.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Peniteret, was that if you repent? I like how peniteret is kind of like set off there. Repent, sinner.
no.
Um,
But we've done peniteret. It's peniterente, right?
Yes.
If
No,
you-
I know, but
if you would
I like how it's set off a bit, so it's almost like if you repent is like it's an important
I'm
word.
not
It's
sure
saved.
if I-
It's saved up to the end. You're right.
Yeah, but
I know it's not. I know it's not
imperative.
Yeah.
Right. By the
I'm
way,
just saying that by putting it in painted terror, it's sort of he gets to keep his grammatical construction while also setting it off in almost an imperative way.
it's not a potential subjunctive, by the way. It's a condition, right? If you were to
Oh,
If
sorry.
you do this.
Yes.
were to do that, then
Right.
then ego.
Ego policere.
Fully correct.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Sorry, it's present. Yep.
Keep going, Paula.
Okay. Ego tibi vere confissus in Domino Jesu Christo misericordiam policere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness. Oh, this one was kind of messy. I guarantee,
I would.
For promise.
I promise
I would.
mercy,
No.
Right? Tibby.
to you. Well, yes, to you.
I would promise
Truly.
mercy to you.
Truly to you. Confessus. Now I had trouble with this one. Confident in the Lord Jesus Christ.
Exactly right.
Right. So
Okay.
if you were to leave off harassing all the human beings in the world and basically get your act together, oh Satan, then even at this late date when we're expecting the judgment of the world and the world to come to an end, we're really close, but still, even at this late date, I would promise
You could be saved.
forgiveness to you,
Yeah.
which is kind of amazingly cool,
Yeah.
or at least amazingly interesting, right?
Mhm.
That-
Amazingly bold.
well, it's just kind of, I mean, it's like that whole thing that people do, are there any limits to God's forgiveness? And, you say, well, if you go on record as saying, well, surely God theoretically must have forgiven Hitler and, Osama bin Laden and all those terrible people. You look like a terrible, heartless person, but of course, theoretically,
Yeah.
God's forgiveness is unlimited, right? At least potentially, including
If they repent.
the
Yeah,
devil
if they repent.
itself. Kind of amazing.
I think a lot of it depends on what the writer's concept of hell is, whether it is intended to be an internal prison of punishment or whether it is more a sort of a purgatory kind of place where you're working out your sins and working your way back to God's grace.
Sure,
That
but
the grace is there, but you still have to do
still
penance.
saying Satan could do it, could get to heaven.
Yeah.
Well, yes,
And,
exactly.
and let's be
Even
careful.
Satan.
Let's be careful with purgatory, which is a concept that
Right.
really didn't amount to much until
That's much later.
I don't mean in purgatory in the Renaissance sense as an actual place. I'm talking about that there are different conceptions of hell and different writers. As you get deeper into the Middle Ages, people tend to see hell as strictly an eternal place. But even in something like Revelation, you have a period of time where people are basically sleeping in the earth, and they might be in hell, but they're not condemned up to the point where the Son of Man is dividing the sheep and the goats.
Yeah, but this is about the period before the return of Jesus, and that's a different matter. And let's go on and talk about
Anyway, because he's not talking about hell, he's talking about salvation, which is
Right.
forgiveness.
Right, but the devil comes from hell, is what I'm saying, and so the devil's salvation is kind of tied up with the writer's conception of what hell is really meant to be.
Oh, quam sancta.
No.
Well, anyway, Martin is saying he would promise him God's mercy if he
Right.
repent.
Yeah,
That's clear.
Yep.
William, for what it's
Okay.
worth, I just looked to see if I could find a parallel for that in Hanc Vocem exclamase,
Mhm.
and I couldn't find any other uses of in Hanc Vocem plus exclamo. There are several with compounds of rumpo, like erupit in Hanc Vocem and prorupit in Hanc Vocem, including several in Sulpicius, but I couldn't find any with exclamo.
And nothing like.
But
And I didn't find anything else similar.
Okay, so at least it's not.
But that would make
it's
sense.
Sort of like you bust. It seems like though in all those examples of sort of you bust out.
Right.
He
It's like
busts
boosting an
out into this, and that makes sense in this piece, because look what Martin is busting out into. He's busting out into saying that he can promise God's mercy to someone.
On the
And
devil.
then
Well, not just someone, but
comments
the
on it.
devil. Right.
Comments on it that says, "Oh my gosh, this was really quite an assumption he was making."
Well, it does say it's the biblical thing of love your enemy as yourself.
But it's
The
definitely
devil is his enemy.
it's unusual.
Yeah.
Okay, so O quam sancta de Domini pietate praesumptio. Let's see. Oops, sorry. Oh, Lord. Now I know why. Oh, that the holy piety
No, it's
Holy
Sancta
from God?
Presumptio.
Presumptio.
Sancta presumptio de pietate Domini. Oh, what holy presumption about the piety of the Lord.
Or simply the love of the Lord.
Hmm.
The Sancta would have a long mark if it was Sancta Pietate. So you know it's a nominative.
Although we know that it's not 100% reliable. Anyway,
No, but the automatic system.
It would be really strange to read it as an accusative after quam. You wouldn't expect
No.
the
Right.
quam to go with the noun and them not to be together, which is not to say it couldn't be, but probability is on the side of o quam sancta and not o quam ... praesumptio.
Well, makes more sense anyway, so.
So it's
But then you'd want-
presumption.
You'd want something like quae praesumptio, probably.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Okay. In qua etsi auctoritatem praestare non potuit, ostendit affectum. In which, though he could not be present with authority,
same
Offer.
meaning as before, to show, to offer,
Mhm.
praestare.
He couldn't promise. He couldn't offer the authority. He couldn't.
okay, couldn't afford it. Okay.
Uh,
He showed the effect or the intent,
or the feeling.
Feeling.
the feeling. Okay.
He just told the devil, you can be saved. Okay. And then Sulpicius says, what holy presumption to say something that, although he couldn't really offer a guarantee, he showed his feelings.
and we need some word that's a little less negative than presumption, right? We need something like,
Yeah.
that's an amazing piece of chutzpah.
Yeah, chutzpah.
Yeah, and presumptio can be stubbornness.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I think chutzpah is much
Or
better.
obstinacy. Yeah.
No, but I think it's you're taking something that's really not yours to take. Praesumptio. You're
Yeah.
I thought it was much more positive than that. It's sancta, isn't it? Something like
Yeah.
boldness or confidence.
yes.
It's not that he's like doing something he shouldn't. He's doing exactly what he should. He's
Right. That's why presumption. That's why presumption isn't the right word, because
Yeah.
But it's a bold thing.
it's a bold. It's a holy piece of confidence.
Taking on.
Right. It's like he's got this complete confidence that God is on his side.
Here, wait. I'm gonna move metaphors from Hebrew to idiomatic English. What stones? What holy stones?
All right.
Oh, it's like that.
All right.
Okay. Et quia de diabolo eius dem que artibus sermo exhortus est. Okay. And because from the devil himself and his word,
The devil and the same one's works,
And his art, his tricks.
his tricks,
His tricks.
his stuff.
Wiles.
But the subject is sermo.
Mhm.
this was brought forth, or he brought this forth?
The sermo
The
is
conver-
This was brought forth from the devil's works.
No, the sermo is the
topic.
subject.
Because sermo.
The topic
The conversation.
has arisen concerning the devil and his arts,
Works.
his trickeries,
Craft. Yeah.
craft.
Yeah, I don't think this
Okay.
is day. This isn't day from. It's day about concerning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because the subject of the devil and all his works has come up,
Mhm.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay.
non ab re videtur, this is getting very casual, right?
Mhm.
It does not seem out of place.
Right, exactly. It seems not irrelevant.
Okay. Licet extrinsecus.
Right.
Extrinsecus.
Mm.
Extrinsecus, sorry.
Mhm.
Though it is external
Right.
to the narrative.
Right. Although it is irrelevant, right? So it's not inappropriate, but it is irrelevant.
Except that it is.
Yeah. Refera quod gestum est. To carry that which is born.
To relate.
Report.
To
Relate.
report.
Right.
Okay. Quia et quaedam in eo Martini virtutum portio est et res digna miraculo recte memoriae mandabitur. Sorry.
Yeah, if you go back to quod gestum est, it's to relate quod gestum est, that which was
What
done.
happened?
That which was done. Okay. Because Lordy, I'm losing it.
A quaedam
Quite a
portio.
portio.
There's a certain section of the virtues of Martin. It's all about word order. If the word order were different, it would all be fine. There's a certain section, certain portion of the virtues of Martin in this thing that I'm about to talk about.
Yeah.
That's one reason to talk about it, because there's a certain section of his virtues in it.
Yeah.
And a res digna miraculo, a thing worthy of a miracle,
Miracle.
Of being called a miracle.
being called a recte, right,
Correctly. Yeah.
mandabitur,
Is about to be entrusted
right, will be entrusted memoriae,
to memory.
to memory. Right.
Okay.
Wait a minute, I got too excited. In exemplum coendi, I'm not sure what that does.
In exemplum cavendi,
Right.
As an example
example.
of,
of the, what to be avoided.
yeah.
Right, exactly. Of what to be avoided.
Okay.
Si quid denceps uspiam tale contegoret.
Okay. So that next somewhere the die is about to be cast.
If
If somewhere. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was if or so.
if quid tale, which
It's
is
aliquid. It's
aliquid
even aliquid.
tale.
Not talus, not meaning die. This is from talus, such.
Such.
There's a missing
Okay.
macron.
There's a missing what?
Macron.
Tale.
Necron. Okay.
Totally.
Okay.
So si aliquid tale, if something like this, and this is all really kind of I mean, this is much wordier than we're expecting. It's just he's taking a long time to make the point.
Mhm.
So it's worth telling this story as an example of what to be avoided if anything like this, denceps finally uspiam ever should
Could happen.
Right.
Okay.
So just in case this ever comes up, this is another reason for telling this story.
If this
Yes.
ever comes anywhere from now on.
Right. But you see what I mean? We're not used to so much filler, right?
Just in case you ever start to decide to feel sorry for the devil.
Mhm. Well, I think that's all. This all is announcing this. This is all the build up to the next section in chapter 23,
Yeah.
and the story of Clarice.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a long, hard sentence.
That was a nasty one. I picked it at random and I was like, what is this?
Mm. So we're pushing on into 23.
Yeah, I signed up for this part.
Okay,
Oh, you
take
did?
it away.
Unless somebody else did.
Oh no, go
No,
for it.
go ahead.
Okay. Clarus quidam, adolescens nobilissimus, mox presbyter, nunc felici beatus excessu, cum relictis omnibus se ad Martinum contulisset, rem tempore ad summum fidei virtutumque omnium culmen inituit. A certain Clarus, a most noble youth, soon later, afterwards a presbyter, now beatus, blessed, through a felici excessu, through a happy death. When, here's the beginning of the story. When he had brought himself to Martin, having left all the others.
Mm-hmm.
I think that probably that's not all the others, but all his things in the monastic sense. He's given away all his property.
Oh,
all the worldly things. Yeah, maybe.
Huh.
Giving away all his stuff.
Probably.
Okay, I thought Omnibus was other leaders he could have followed.
mm.
But wouldn't that would be Cateris, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Yep. Okay. But in a short time, shone forth a nituit into the high. Ad summum culmen, into the highest peak of faith and all virtues,
Mhm.
or all powers.
Great.
I thought it was neat how there's that very, Solon-like, count no man happy until he's dead, that beatus excessu.
Yeah, and he's now blessed. Yeah, only because he's dead, because he died well. Itaque, cum haud longe sibi ab episcopi monasterio tabernaculum constituisset, multique apud eum fratres commorarentur, Juvenis quidam ad eum Anatolius nomine, sub professionem monarchi, omnem humilitatem atque innocentiam mentitus accessis, habitavitque aliquam Dio in commune cum Cateris.
I could listen to you recite Latin all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. I just love it. I just think it's the most beautiful thing. So therefore, or then, when he had built for himself, not at all far away from the monastery of the bishop, a tabernaculum, a little dwelling place,
Mm-hmm.
and
Clarus being the subject and the episcopi being Martin.
yes, exactly. And when
Martin,
Uti,
sorry.
no, go ahead, Jen.
Which is the only mention of Martin until the very end, which is why he needed to apologize like 20 times for telling this story.
Oh, yeah. It's really about Clarus, yeah. Maybe that is why, yeah, never mind.
I
Okay.
think that's why he apologizes so much before telling the story.
So I'm going to tell you something totally irrelevant, but
But, it's about the devil, and I thought it was kind of fun.
It'll make sense pretty soon.
it makes sense to me right now. I'm writing this thing. I'm the author. Ha.
Okay, so when he had made this place for himself, and many brothers were remaining with him, a certain youth named Anatolius by name, and then you have to go all the way to the end, Akessit, arrived to him, ad eum, came to him, under the profession of a monk, claiming he was a monk.
Yeah,
and
nice.
And feigning,
Mm-hmm.
pretending.
Oh, I like
humility.
feigning. That's much better than what Francesca gave us.
Oh, I didn't look at the comments.
Never mind, you did better.
Okay. Sorry. Feigning all humility and innocence.
Mm-hmm.
He came and he lived for some time in common, in communion with the others. So for a little while, he was able to just be one of Clarus's flock, but then things got really crazy. Dein procedente tempore angelos apud se loqui solere dicebat. Then, with time proceeding, or having proceeded, after a little while, he used to say that angels were wont to speak with him in his cell, among him.
For procedente tempora, you could say, we would say as time went on.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
As time went on, I like that. All right.
Yep.
Cum fidem, and now here's his big disappointment. Cum fidem nullus adiberet, signis quibustam plerosque ad credendum coartabat. When nobody was believing him, was applying faith to what he was saying, he coartabat, this is a great word, he pushed, he was constraining.
Forced.
Yeah, forced.
Was forcing.
Many, or some, to believe him by certain signs.
Plerosque, wouldn't you say most of them?
Most,
Well,
yeah, maybe most of them, yeah.
And signs are maybe like miracles almost.
Yeah, well, we're going to see the kind of signs he has in mind.
Exactly.
He's going to take the devil to help him. Postremo eosque processit, ut inter se acteum nuntius discurrere praedicaret, iamque se unum ex prophetis haberi volebat. Oh my goodness. Finally, it got to this point, eosque, to that point.
Or he just.
Hmm?
He went so far.
Oh, he went so far. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He went so far. That, yes. That he proclaimed, he was proclaiming that nuntios, messengers, were running back and forth between him and God.
Mm-hmm.
And now, and already, after that, he wanted, he volebat, he was wanting to have himself, se haberi, considered one of the prophets, unum ex prophetis. All right, that's crazy. Clarus tamen ne quaquam ad credendum cogi poterat. But Clarus, however, was not able to be forced in any way into believing this. Ille, and this ille is this guy, Anatolius. And ei is Clarus.
Yeah.
So ille ei iram domini et praesentes plagas cur sancto non crederet comminari. He, Anatolius, was threatening him, was comminari iram. He was threatening him with the wrath of God and imminent punishments. Because now here we have the core really because he wasn't believing himself, the holy man. But maybe he was saying, "Why aren't you believing me?" So that's why the core is really
Right. Very good.
And that's why the subjunctive with it too.
Yeah. Postremum.
Well, I'm sorry. I think I had it earlier, but where's the verb?
Comminari. It's a historical infinitive.
Oh, it's historical infinitive. Okay. Thank you.
And here we have again, now he's erupissing in this vocem, the same construction, but with a much more bursting out verb. Postremum in hanc vocem erupisse fertur. Finally, he is said to have erupted in this rant. Ecce, hac nocte vestem mihi candidam dominus de caelo dabit, qua indutus in medio vestrum diversabor, idque vobis signum erit, in me Dei esse virtutem, qui Dei veste donatus sim. Look here. This very night, in this night, God will give me a candidam vestem, a white garment from heaven, clothed in which I will wander or dwell amongst in the middle of you, amongst you.
Yeah, just stay or lodge amongst the midst of
Yeah,
you.
I will dwell. I will stay with. Yeah, I'll be in your midst wearing this white vestment.
Bingo.
Id quid vobis sigma, which of course are the exact same words. This shall be a sign unto you. You shall find him lying in a manger. This is directly from the New Testament. And this shall be a sign unto you that that the power of God is in me, because this is one of these relative clauses that's like a result. Is it result or yeah, result? Me who have been, and now this is not it happened, have been gifted with the garment of God from God.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think you would. I don't know that I care that much. Would you say this is a relative clause of characteristic?
Characteristic, is that what it's called? I can never remember what they're
Because
called.
there's no such a thing as a relative clause of result, which is kind of what you want, right?
Yeah, no, I think this is
I don't know.
characteristic.
Is there,
That's
Jen?
right.
I
I who had been endowed with
And
gifted
me
with.
who have been endowed because I've been endowed.
Yeah.
I think those causal relatives are a form of characteristic.
Is that what they're called? Okay.
Yeah, but even Jen doesn't look as if she's quite sure, and
No,
and so we know we're in very deep.
Well, I think they just said it and then they labeled things afterwards.
well, another way to look at it is that it's a relative clause, it's a dependent clause, and an indirect statement. So
That's true. I guess.
that's the much simpler way to look at
Yeah,
it.
that's true too, isn't it?
Well, that was great, Joanna.
Yeah, how about I take 6 and 7, and somebody else?
I can do 8 through 11.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
8 through 11. I think so.
So, tum vero grandis omnius ad hanc professionem expectatio. So we've got this dude saying, ha ha ha, I'm going to show up in this brilliant cloak, right? But then there was great expectation of them all at this declaration. Itaque ad omne monasterium loco visum est. No, sorry. Itaque ad mediam fere noctem fremitu terram insultantiam commovere omne monasterium loco visum est.
Isn't that one of those standard scribal errors where their eye drops a line like that and you lose a phrase?
Yeah.
That's extremely generous of you, Jen. Cellulam altem quaidem adolescens continebatur crebus cernere micare luminibus fremitusque in ea discurrentium et murmur quodam multarum vocum audiebatur. Okay. Therefore, at almost midnight, the whole almost midnight, the entire monastery seemed to be moved with a rumble of people jumping on the
On
ground.
the ground, yes.
Beating the earth, yeah.
In other words, we got an earthquake.
Yeah, and it's commovere loco,
Right.
in
Seemed to be
place.
moved from its place.
Moved
Or
from
in-
its place.
Or in place.
I think it's hilarious that a guy named Anatolia is creating an earthquake, but
Yeah, exactly.
It's just those people fracking again.
It's the devil fracking,
The
Mona.
devil's fracking.
Cracking, good. Never mind. Moreover, the little cell in which this same youth, that would be, is that
Anatolius.
Clarus or Anatolius?
It's Anatolius.
It's Anatolius was shut up.
Mm-hmm.
You would have seen that cell
Mm-hmm.
sparkle
Mm-hmm.
with great lights.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of lights.
With frequent lights.
Frequent lights,
Dense,
right.
dense lights, yeah.
Frequent lights, yes. And the noise of people running around in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the noise of people running around in it, and a certain grumbling, murmur, roaring of many voices would have been heard in it.
Uh-huh. Just was heard. Like plain old.
Was heard.
This is true fact.
Was heard.
Yeah, the first one was subjunctive because you aren't actually there, so it has to be potential. But this one, it's now back to a passive, so it could.
Just what was heard.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Dein facto silentio egressus unum de fratribus Sabbatium nomine ad se vocat tunica mei quaerat indutus ostendet. Next, silence having been made, and silence had fallen, having come forth,
Uh-huh.
that's Anastasius.
Anatolius. Yes.
Anatolius, Jesus. Anatolius, having come forth, called one of the brothers,
Mm-hmm.
Sabbatius by name, to him,
Mm-hmm.
and showed him the tunic in which he had been dressed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Nice.
Do we want to volunteer and push on forward? Push
I'll
on.
do, I'll
Yeah,
do,
Mona said she would do it.
I'll do 8 through.
Nona said she'd go.
Mona, you want to do?
Sure. Okay, so number 8.
Mhm.
Ob stupefactus ille convocat ceteros, ipse etiam clarus accurrit, ad hibitor quae lumine vestim omnes diligenter inspiciunt. That one, that man, meaning the brother, ob stupefactus, having been stupefied, calls the others together. Even Clarus himself comes running up.
Nice.
And a light, having been produced or supplied, after a light had been supplied, all inspected, inspicuant the garment carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
The lumine it's probably a candle or a lamp,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Rather than like a little flashlight. You know? Let's check this out.
The 4th century flashlight.
That's it. Erat autem summum molitiae candore eximio micanti purpura nec tamen cuius esset generis outvelidis uterat agnosci. Moreover, it, meaning the garment, was of the greatest softness, incredible or exceptional whiteness, gleaming purple. Nevertheless, it was not able to be recognized of what sort or wool or I guess fabric it was.
Good.
Yeah, like it says wool in the note. I'm thinking it's like what pelt, what animal.
Yeah, what sort of
What
fabric?
kind of fur it was made of, what fibers it was made out of.
So, curiosis tamen oculis aut digitis attractata non aliud quam vestis videbatur. Yet, having been examined, literally touched by careful eyes, or digitis, or fingers, it was seen to be nothing other than, or not non aliud quam, nothing other than a garment. Inter ea clarus fratres admonet orationi insisteri, ut manifestius eis dominus quidnam id esset ostenderet. Inter ea, meanwhile, Clarus admonishes the brothers to persist, to continue in prayer, orationi, so that the Lord would show them manifestius more clearly what it was. What it being the
world, that quid nam is just a little bit more intensive.
What the hell?
What on earth?
just what in the heck is it?
Yeah.
Mona, I'm willing to do a sentence or two if you'd like to take a break, but you're
That'd
beautiful.
be okay. Okay, I'm fine. This is to make up for all the sight reading I did in college.
Well, if this is genuine sight reading,
No, it's not. No,
it's
not.
amazing.
I at least read it once.
Well, even so.
Number 9. Itaque reliquum noctis hymnis salmisque consumitur. And thus, the remainder of the night is consumed, or is taken up taken up by hymns and psalms.
Yeah, two things interest me here. First of all, this is a historical
Present.
present.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that, we're kind of, these people have been taken off on a wild hare, right?
Right.
So that verb can also mean just eaten up or wasted. And I think devoted is probably pretty much what you've got, but there's also these overtones that these people are just, they've been taken down the garden path. I think it's a very carefully chosen verb.
They're saying they're spending a lot of energy on this Anatolius guy.
Right. Who's bogus.
Okay.
So they're consumed with hymns and psalms. Ubi eluxit dies, apprehensum dextera ad Martinum trahere volebat. Bene conscius illudi illum diaboli arte non posse. In ubi eluxit dies, when the day dawned, he, meaning Clarus, was wanting to take Martin, or take him.
Anatolius.
Right? I'm sorry, not Martin. Anatolius. Having
Please.
Having been seized or grabbed.
Yeah.
By the right hand to Martin. He wanted to bring him to Martin. Knowing well that person, that Martin, was not able to be deceived or ridiculed by arte diaboli, by a trick of the devil. So, and number 10,
going to a higher instance.
That's it. They have the magic. The magical person. 10. Tum vero reniti ac reclamare miser quepit. Interdictum quae sibi esse dicebat, ne se Martino ostenderet. Tum vero, then indeed, the wretched man began to resist and to reclamare, to sort of
Protest.
protest,
cry
yeah,
out.
to cry out. And he kept saying,
Oh, nice. That's great with
Liza
DK.
Yakwepet, that it was forbidden to him, lest he show himself to Martin. That's a little awkward. It was
Well,
forbidden.
I think you could
we have to translate the nay as positive.
Yeah.
Instead
forbidden
It was forbidden to him to show himself
to Martin. Okay.
Yeah.
It's that negative verb
That precedes it.
command with the nay, like I am afraid lest. It was forbidden to him lest. It's this kind of
Lest
thing.
he show himself to Martin.
Yeah, which comes out in English better is it was forbidden to him to show himself to Martin, right?
Cumque in vitum ire compellerent, inter trahentium manus vestis evanuit.
Ooh.
And when they compelled in vitum the unwilling one, him, to go,
Excellent.
the garment vanished within the hands of the ones dragging him. It's so comical.
That's great.
Brilliant.
There should be a movie.
They're
of
there,
it.
then they're not
It's so
there.
visual.
The world.
And 11, unde questuitet hanc etiam Martini fuisse virtutem, ut fantasiam suam diabolus, cum erat Martini oculis ingerenda, dissimulari diutius tegere non posset.
Nice.
Wherefore, unde, who questuitet, who might doubt
Exactly.
that
Simple.
Hanc etiam, even this was a miracle of Martin.
Mm-hmm.
The power of
So that the devil, Diabolus, was not able to disguise or conceal his own fantasiam suam, his own deception.
Uh-huh.
When cum erat Martini oculis ingenuum, when it was to be put, or had to be put, or supposed to be put before the eyes of Martin. In Gerunda, right? That's the construction.
I think this is one that's not a passive paraphrastic. I think this is when it was about to be brought.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
It's simply a future.
when it was going to be brought. Yeah, just
It was
future.
going to be brought. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the hanc ut, I think you translate it as so that, Mona. I think it's just this, namely that. It's one of those like noun clauses.
Yeah, just a plain old ut.
Sorry, where are we?
The hanc etiam Martini fuisse virtutum ut, that this also was a power of Martin, that it's clarifying the hanc. So it's a
Yeah. Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
because there's no subjunctive. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, there is a subjunctive, but it's just not, it's the ut meaning that it's called a noun clause.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's taking the
it's like it's
place.
in opposition to hanc.
It's an apposition, right? Right. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you'd call it like a substantive clause of result.
Right.